It's no surprise to anyone when I say that Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty, and I'm sure many of you watching this would also say the same. It has everything. From a great campaign and characters, the multiplayer was incredible, and so too the zombies. Probably the best zombies we've ever had, or at least one of the best zombies we've ever had. But it also has some of the best guns in the series. It's no secret that SMGs were the golden class in Black Ops 2 with the likes of the MSMC, the PDW, the Scorpion. I mean, basically just all of them, you know? But for me, it also has some of the best assault rifles in the series. The M24, the Scar H, the FAL, and there was one that stood above them all, AN-94, which I am probably going to hate by the end of this video because I'm going to try and get to round 50 with it on Buried. Yes, the AN-94 is available on other maps, but Buried is Buried. I love this map, and it also has the small bonus of being very easy, which is just a win for me. The first 2 rounds or so, I stay up top in the spawn room, grind together a few points and whatnot. I'm sure you all get the deal by now. Round 3, I head into the main part of the map. I get Leroy out of his cage, and luckily for me, a second boost spawns in the cage, so now I have the simple job of clearing out a few zombies with only my knife, but I get it done. We then get Leroy to open up the gunsmith, and before I know it, I've got the AN-94 in my hands. Round 3, gun acquired, and it was time to start blasting. For the rest of the early game, I basically just stood still and shot things. Having this caliber of weapon at such a low round, it's honestly not fair. But I didn't care, as it was making life pretty goddamn easy. Round 6, I decided to get a few more perks on the go, with the next addition being Jug. The AN continued to melt through zombies with its nice one-taps, but as I closed in around 10, things did begin to get a little bit more hectic, especially considering I had no speed, double tap, or pack-a-punch yet. But that was soon to change. Round 8, I bought speed so I didn't feel like a 70-year-old reloading every time, and after buying speed, I went a few more rounds without pack-a-punch, you know, just flex my ego and all that. But when push came to shove and things began to get a little dicey, I bitched out and headed off to upgrade my gun. We buy double tap and make it through the mansion. Now I was just waiting for my free perk, and we get Mule Kick, as always. I don't think I have made a video on this map where I haven't got Mule Kick as my first free perk. It's like a Minecraft YouTuber. No matter how many times you say no to it, it just keeps on coming. Next up was Pack-a-Punch, and as I refused to upgrade my gun sooner, I had a nice chunk of cheddar sitting in my pocket, which meant a few respins would be available. The AN goes into the Pack-a-Punch, and out came the actuated neutralizer, which is a mouthful, to be honest. But I wasn't a huge fan of the reticle on the red dot, so back in it went, which was also right when the zombie decided to show up, almost trapping me without a gun, but luckily I survived. Round 2 on the Pack-a-Punch gave me the target finder, which is what I imagine it's like looking through someone's ass, so no. Third time's the charm, and we get the iron sights back with a grip. I do like this gun's irons, so it was a nice win. Only problem was I was now stuck in the Pack-a-Punch room for a round, but it wasn't too big a deal as I now had arguably one of the best guns in the game for zombies, and it just cleaned house. Nothing stood a chance at this round, and before I knew it, I was back at my training spot. With our newly upgraded gun, the rounds went by in a breeze. The zombies didn't really have much of a chance anymore as this gun just tore through them all. Before long, the lights were back up in the mansion, and this time we got stamina up, which was actually great. The next few rounds, things started to shift. The AN was still very good and still doing a very good job, but I was beginning to get a little bit more overwhelmed by the zombies each round. Now, training on Buried isn't my strongest suit, but I was making it work. I mean, I was kind of making it work. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a few close calls, but you know, it is what it is. It was also at this time, as I crossed round 22, that I wondered whether it would be worth camping in the hallway where Jug is. Obviously, I would just be using the gun and not all of the buildables. The gun was still capable of taking out zombies with 1 or 2 bullets. Mainly, you know, depending on my aim. But it was something I debated, which, annoyingly, I resisted. Between rounds 22 and 28, things got increasingly harder, which is, you know, expected. But what wasn't expected was the down I ended up taking on round 28. It is right at the beginning of the round and I screw up my train. I end up getting myself stuck in the jail. I try fighting my way out of it, but there really isn't much I can do and I end up taking the down. From here, I end up just legging it to the mansion as I didn't trust myself not to screw things up further. The perma perk saved all of my perks except Quick Revive, so 2 perks up for grabs. I was liking those odds. Yeah, I got Vote Trade. Like, great perk and all, but when I have no safety, it's kinda scary. Which was more than warranted, as only a couple rounds later, almost out of nowhere, I died. I was shooting some zombies, I get hit, and then I was dead. There really isn't much else, to be honest. Now, round 30 with the AN isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's an AN-94. I knew I could do better, so I ran it back. This time around, I was very tempted to run this on Diarize. It's the only other map that offers the gun off the wall, but its location on Diarize is straight ass, so buried it was. The game started off very similarly. I grinded together some points on the early rounds, then went off to get myself the AN. Only this time it was round 2 and I almost died getting Leroy out of his cage, but thankfully I got saved by some nice drops being an insta-kill and a nuke. Round 3 and the AN was mine. Now it was time to start working towards my perks, which I had 3 of by the end of round 5. The next few rounds I basically spent getting more points, as once again I knew I'd be pack-a-punching, quite a few times. Round 9 and it was that time. I head into the mansion, grab myself double tap, and then make my way to the exit. Free perk time, and you guessed it, I only went and got Mule Kick. That's actually a curse at this point. But at least now I had a pack-a-punched AN. This time I upgraded the gun a few more times and I ended up with the wall hack sight. I genuinely can't remember the name of this optic for the life of me, so wall hack sight it is. I gotta say as well, I quite liked having this sight on the gun too. Very different to what I'm used to, but I liked it. Now this is where the real difference between the two runs begins. In the prior attempt, I mentioned camping in the jug hallway, but I bottled the idea. Well, this time around I didn't, and I pretty much now spent the entirety of the game standing in this hallway just pressing 2 buttons. Like, seriously, that's all I did for about 40 minutes. In fact, I did this all the way up to round 20. It really helped that the gun was still able to one-shot zombies to the head, but I seriously didn't move for 8 to 10 rounds. The only reason why I did end up moving was for a second free perk, but I didn't actually grab that until round 22, and it was Vote Trade, which I was actually more than happy to have, as now I had a whole extra layer of protection. The rounds continued to go by in a flash. Round 26, round 27, round 28, round 29. The AN-94 just didn't quit. Sure, once I closed it in the round 30s, the gun was beginning to slow down. It was no longer one-shotting zombies, but it was still killing them easy enough for me to continue standing still, and it was honestly great. It wasn't until about round 33, 34 where things began to get challenging. Don't get me wrong, the AN was still putting in a shift, but I was also now more reliant on Vote Trade to create those stink cloud pockets, just so I had time to reload without being overwhelmed, and to also do more damage to the zombies whilst they couldn't get to me. It was safe to say that I had entered the endgame for this gun and for this strat, but I wasn't going to give up on it just yet. Round 35 was beat soon after, and I always say that this round is the round I'm happy to get to with these challenges, and I was. But I knew the gun had more to give, so I kept on going. And it did well for a few more rounds, but round 37 is when the power balance started to lean in the favour of the zombies. The AN was struggling hard at this point, and to be completely honest, so was I. The second I saw a large group of zombies come piling into the hallway, I kind of panicked and just hoped for something to drop to help me, which did become quite prevalent throughout the rounds 37 and 38, as I got my fair share of lucky insta-kill drops that carried me further. Unfortunately, however, during round 38, I ended up getting overwhelmed, and I ended up taking that first down. But I pushed forward and get into the next round, where I tried to get to the mansion for an attempt at quick revive, but it does not go well at all. I try my best to take out some of the horde chasing me, but as soon as I take out one, another spawns, but annoyingly it spawns behind me, and I end up getting trapped, and within about a second of me first getting hit, I'm dead. I would say that I ran it back, but I didn't. I thought about it, don't get me wrong. I thought about booting up BO3 or BO4 and running a game there, but honestly, I was kind of happy with around 39 with the AN on Black Ops 2. I would have been very happy with around 40, but it is what it is. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.